Deion to Dallas, picking up steam. We've got the latest. Plus, Mike Tomlin's his way through the postseason presser. We'll tell you the one reason he should want out of Pittsburgh right now. Plus, oh, what a game. The heavyweight title fight between the two MVPs. We'll tell you why actually neither of them is the player who will decide who wins as we get up against ready to go. Kmart is ready to roll. Hawk is ready to roll.
These guys
are over here. Oh, big night tonight. Big night for Neek tonight. We'll explain why. But huge weekend in the NFL. Let's do this thing, people. We are days away from divisional weekend, the best weekend of the year. So let's do some bold predictions. Neek, Texans, Chiefs, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, ESPN and ABC. Give me a bold prediction.
Well, I need Nico Collins to exploit the DBs for Kansas City Chiefs. Nico Collins is one of the best receivers in football. This offense is different when Nico is out there playing well. If the O-line can hold up long enough to give C.J. Stroud some time, I think Nico Collins could be a problem.
They're looking for ways.
Yeah, Chris Jones is a bigger problem.
Jeff, who do you think comes up big in this game?
Run game. Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. You can go either way, but don't ever forget what Andy Reid does in the playoffs. He leans on that run game. It'll take pressure off the left tackle. He wants to play physical and then allow Mahomes to be magic man when it counts. I love this matchup for the Chiefs up front. They're going to get after it, and the Texans are going to have to match it to have any shot.
So that one's Saturday afternoon. Saturday night, Kmart, give me a bold prediction. Commanders at Lions.
Bold? I'm going to give you bold. Jaden Daniels is going to throw 4 touchdowns against the Lions and make this game a lot closer than Jeff Saturday might think.
Wow. Neek, can Jaden pull off what would be one of the genuinely great upsets in recent memory?
If he's throwing 4 touchdowns, hell yeah. I mean, I think Jaden's deep ball accuracy combined with his athleticism is very difficult for anybody to stop. And then you put the poise of a veteran on top of it. I think he plays well in this game. Well enough to knock off the 1 seed? I don't know about that.
Well, look, the Lions defense certainly has struggled, so we'll see. Teddy Bruschi said to me the other day, rookie rules don't apply to Jaden Daniels.
That's the truth.
So we will see. Jeff, let's go to Sunday, the earlier of the games. Rams, Eagles, give me a bold prediction.
A.J. Brown going to be a heat-seeking missile, over 100 yards and a touchdown. And again, he did it the first time he played. He got 5 of 6 matchups in man-to-man coverage. What did he do? 97 yards and a touchdown. The Rams are going to have to do something to slow down Saquon Barkley. They rushed for almost 300 yards. So A.J. Brown going to be reading books, staying in his Zen mode. Make it happen.
You like AJ chapter and verse. Oh, look, Nick. Look at Domonique. Hawk,
I like that.
How can they, if the Rams are going to pull off an upset here, how would they do it?
Matt Stafford makes things interesting. Matt Stafford is the best arm talent in the NFL. And when he's on, he is special. And if you saw him versus the Vikings very early, he was dialed in. Now, they'll have to figure out how to stop the run game versus the Eagles. But Matt Stafford is the equalizer. That was the throw.
And then finally, Sunday night, this is what we'll call it, Ali Frazier. Hawk, give me a bold prediction, Ravens, Bills.
A 100-yard receiving day for Amari Cooper. Now, when they played the Ravens in game 1, they had no threat down the field. Keon Coleman was young. Josh Allen was apprehensive of where and how to go there. Amari is the one that you trust in one-on-one. If he goes over 100, that's their best chance to contend with the Ravens.
Kmart, thoughts?
So this game, both of these teams will look a lot different. The Ravens at the time had the worst pass defense in the NFL. Their defense has gotten a lot better. But also, the Bills' roster looks different. Matt Milano did not play. Terrell Bernard did not play. And Taron Johnson didn't play. And Amari Cooper wasn't even on the team at the time.
Right.
So I think the Bills, look out for them.
All right, we are going to go deeply into that game. And as I mentioned, we'll tell you the one player who will decide it. And by the way, it's neither of the quarterbacks. So we'll get to all of that. But next up is the NFL's coaching carousel. There's lots of news out there. And finally, Mike McCarthy is no longer obligated to the Dallas Cowboys. He is expected to interview with the Bears as early as today. The Cowboys, thus, go into the early stages of their coaching search, and as we know, that includes the legendary Deion Sanders. On Monday, Sanders said to Shefty that he loves Boulder, but he called the idea of coaching the Cowboys intriguing. And then Stephen A. Smith yesterday said this.
I don't believe Deion's sentiments about Colorado one bit. I've never believed that Deion belongs in Boulder, Colorado. I know he appreciates what they've done for him, just like he appreciated HBCU and Jackson State hiring him. But in the end, this is the damn NFL. I don't believe that 1 second. I believe if Jerry Jones offers Deion Sanders this job, Deion Sanders gonna take it.
Okay, now look.
Glasses out.
Straighten them up.
Listen. Stephen A. knows Deion. I mean, you know, like if he's saying that carries weight with me. And Hawk, you have what I thought was a fascinating analogy when it comes to the possibility of the dream team. Jerry-on. I've given them a celebrity couple name.
Love it.
I've given them like a Benifer, Brangelina. They've got a celebrity couple name now. This is the dream team.
They need to sign Jerry on to stop the run. They need to find D Jerry on. So you get in the middle and clog up that running back.
The Deion Jones D-tackle? What? Oh, sign me up for that.
You tell me. Everyone is all these guys over here yesterday spent the whole day telling me, oh, Deion doesn't want to be told by Jerry what to do all the time. You've got an analogy I like.
A big dog in the room can smell another big dog in the room. There's going to be a respect for Deion in Dallas from Jerry because he won't have it any other way. Not only that, he's the only candidate that I can think of that can actually deal with all the things that come with Jerry Jones as a GM. From the antics to the boisterous quotes, the podcast, the attention, the distractions, it doesn't affect Deion. Deion damn near invented it. He knows the culture of Jerry Jones. He knows the culture and the spotlight that the star brings. I'm not kidding. Not even from a Deion perspective of will he take this? If I'm Jerry Jones, this is the only hire that makes sense to me right now. I'm at that point.
Look at the two of them, by the way.
I mean,
you tell me that's not a dream team.
Oh, my God.
Look at the two of them right there. That's Jerry on.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying.
My word.
But the analogy about two big dogs in the room, they fight. And it's like, you don't put two big, whatever you're talking about, these big dogs, they don't walk in and say, oh, there's a big dog, I'm a big dog, let's be friends. That's not what dogs do.
May I?
Man, there's a respect from big
Not
dogs.
only that, but you know what Teddy said to me? Teddy Bruschi said, when we were talking about, I forget what, it was the Eagles. We were talking about the thing with the Eagles with A.J. Brown and everything. And Teddy said, and I'll do my best Teddy imitation, in my best locker rooms, we had conflict.
For sure.
Conflict. So conflict, fighting is one thing. Conflict is another thing. We got a clash of two egos. We somehow find a way to make it work. Sometimes that creative tension isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I wanted to, Greg.
I mean, the intensity you're bringing, I'm in. I am so with you. Here's the deal. As big as these dogs are, ain't but one dog writing checks, and his name is Jones, it ain't Sanders, and he's going to ultimately make the say. And when you go into the room and it's a general manager and a head coach, the owner usually steps in and is the voice of reason. That same dude is the guy making the decision. That's the problem for Deion Sanders. I love the intensity. I love Deion as a coach. I do not like Jerry as the owner / GM with Deion. And until that changes, by the way, when the culture you're talking about in Dallas ain't the culture that's in Dallas now. When Deion signed back then, they were a different group of cats. That ain't the same group that's in that locker room nowadays.
What about bringing that cat into that locker room to bring back that culture?
That's the whole point. And that's what I'm saying. It's not because, he understands that culture and he's able to jump into it. No, it's that the guys in that locker room now and the organization as a whole is trying to operate with that cachet that they had no contribution to. Now you have a guy like Deion being like, nah, that's not how things are in Dallas. You don't get to piggyback off of that.
Right.
We built this and we understand the standard to get there. Not only that, I know Deion is media, he's quotes, he's commercials, but Deion is an old school football guy. And that is what they need. Agreed. He commands respect in that locker room from day one, from the coaching staff, his staff, from the front office, and from Jerry, because he has been the best at everywhere he's gone, and it's not all just, you know.
I mean, no one disagrees. I think we're having a couple different conversations. No one disagrees with can Deion do it? Is he capable? Right. Is he a good football man? Yeah. Jerry Jones ain't hiring that man, guys. Yeah. Jerry Jones wants the attention on Jerry Jones. What about hiring Mike McCarthy makes you think that he wants to then hire Deion Sanders? This is not the same. I think Jerry Jones, I would root for it. I want it to happen. Yeah. I try to bend myself in pretzels just like you, Greeny, to make sure that I can convince myself this is happening. But every time I keep getting back to this guy, Jerry Jones, doing press conferences outside the locker room, he don't want Deion Sanders because they're going to be fewer cameras outside the locker room waiting for him. They're going to be talking to Deion.
Because we will literally be like, Jerry, hold that thought. We got to go talk to Deion real quick. And that's sort of what Nick is talking about. When you ask people, like, is this real? Could this happen? Do you think this could work? And everybody points to it's about Jerry. And unfortunately, we have said month after month, week after week with Jerry Jones that he has to do things differently this offseason because he shouldered all. There's no Mike McCarthy to blame anymore. He shouldered much of the blame during this season and for what the roster looked like and for how slowly he got those contracts signed. So if Jerry could sit back and think, what is it that I need here? We need a culture shift. We need a guy who can, in this locker room, who can bring back that. Like, that's what he's always trying to replicate. The olden days of Cowboys lore.
I agree with that. Let me ask you this, because this part bothers me, and I am not an apologist for Mike McCarthy. But here's what I would say. In 5 years, he's been 12-5 3 times. He lost his quarterback
twice.
And they went 7 and whatever after he went down. His team battled. I don't think culture is like when we're talking about culture, Mike McCarthy, they didn't just quit on their guy. So what is success for Deion Sanders? If he walks in and goes 12-5 3 years in a row and they don't win a playoff game, are you firing Deion? Because Jerry will be 85. And if it's all about playoff success and Super Bowl success, how do you define success from Deion Sanders' perspective? Because it's not like this team has been awful. They've been good and just haven't gotten it done playoff-wise. That's the issue.
I don't know what it's like to be a billionaire and own a football team. But I think if I was, I would not be thinking about under what circumstances am I going to fire my next coach. I'd be thinking about who's the best coach I can get for my team. And he's the best
I think the issue for Mike McCarthy was like who's running the show. Like, how much say does Mike McCarthy have when it comes to roster construction?
Agreed.
The reason Deion is intriguing to me is because I don't think Jerry can knock him off his spot in the same way that he does other people. And that's the one thing that makes it.
That beat changes everything.
This is going to stay out there. This is going to stay in the ether, and we will keep an eye on it as it continues. But we've got a million other places to take you today, including to Pittsburgh. Did you hear what Mike Tomlin said about all the trade talk surrounding him? Meanwhile, should he want out? And do the Steelers need a change at the top? We'll answer all those questions, plus a quarterback showdown unlike any other. Is Josh going to have to play the game of his life to beat Lamar and the Ravens? We're talking about that one next. We're just getting rolling. Get up on ESPN.
Here we go.
Where are you headed?
Where am I?
Hey, Kimberly Martin.
Yes.
If I said the Eagles' defense is going to be the reason they win the Super Bowl, is that right or wrong?
Greeny, that is right. What is the biggest difference in this team besides Saquon Barkley? The fact that the defense is no longer a liability. Listen, they are physical. They make QBs. They had Jordan Love. Look, Jordan Love was just, it was not good for him. No, so this defense, what was his name? DeGene Cooper?
Cooper DeGene.
DeGene.
Oh, yes.
No, but DeGene Cooper?
DeJean Cooper.
Yeah. DeJean. Come on now.
Yeah, I want to talk more about Jordan Love later, too. Meanwhile, Hawk, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders can upset the Lions. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, that's wrong. The Detroit Lions are a very good football team, and I know the Commanders are going to be in my mentions, and they're great. And Jaden Daniels,
the truth.
Incredible rookie quarterback. But the Lions are an extremely talented football team on every piece of the ball, every position. And yeah, they have a bye week. You worry about Russ, but when teams play as hard as they do, I'm less worried about it.
I'm more worried about their defense, I think, than I am about rust. We'll get back to that one, too. But then, Neek, let's get to the heavyweight matchup. If I said Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are the best duo left in the playoffs, is that right or wrong?
I said wrong when you asked me, but I must have been high. I mean, I was thinking that it was Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce because of what they've accomplished, but then you started showing me clips of Derrick Henry dribbling human beings off the ground and Lamar Jackson giving people the business in open field and then dropping back in the pocket and picking them apart. Like, they don't have the hardware yet, but I think this combo is better than anyone else.
Okay, so, I mean, if anything, I'll blame the producers then because the question is not clear.
Yeah.
They're not historically the greatest duo. I mean, Mahomes and Kelce have accomplished more, but right this minute, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. But so the comment. Look,
that was good. We just go.
We wanted to just take a moment to do what everyone else is doing and say, Oh my God, what a game!
Oh my God.
I mean, thank God we get this. Sometimes you don't get this.
Oh, football. Oh, we gonna get some football.
Right?
So
But, like,
good.
if someone had said, like, what is it, the one thing that you have to see this postseason?
Yes.
Everyone would have said, we have to see Lamar and Josh, right?
Circle it.
We have to see that, and we get it. So thank you, football, for giving us
Thank
the
you,
game that we
football.
want.
Yeah.
Having said that, Jeffrey, you tell me why you don't believe it is either quarterback who is going to be the reason that the team that wins
Let me
wins the game.
describe this game for everybody.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Let me describe it. This ain't MVPs. Onslaught of physicality. That's what this game
I didn't see that
is
coming.
going to be. This is as a heavyweight fight can be. The Buffalo Bills run the most 6 OL formations personnel group in the league by far. That's how James Cook's running game has turned on the way it has. You look at the Ravens, you think it's 6 line, but that's just Derrick Henry in the backfield. And they bring in Likely, and they have Andrews, who are full participants in the blocking, and Ricard at fullback. This thing is so nasty. And you think about the last time they played. Baltimore boat raced this team. Buffalo's going to have to do something in their front to change this. Derrick Henry averaged 10 yards a carry against. I mean, you said moi to James Davis, moi to football in the football gods for giving me this on this weekend. Because I'm just going to tell you right here, like it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better than this.
Not only that, but the most finesse player in the entire game may not play. Kmart, Zay Flowers, what?
Yeah, so today is gives us a decent indication of whether we're gonna be able to see Zay Flowers this weekend. Talking to players leading into that Ravens-Steelers game last week, the Ravens players knew Zay was not going to be available earlier in the week, right? So they understood they needed a total team effort. And we saw in that game a heavy 2 tight end sets. Lamar got the ball to everybody on the field. Now, heading into this game, John Harbaugh said we are taking a will-see approach with Zay, and he did say there is a chance he can play even if he doesn't practice. So we're a few days out from knowing Zay, but if he's on the field at least, that's a good sign. If not, we stay tuned.
All right, so let me turn to my defensive player here. If this is a matchup of strength on strength, power on power, which defense is better suited to stand up to this?
It's obviously the Ravens are a bigger, more physical, better defense against the run. The Bills, their linebackers are a bit undersized. All their linebackers that they use are 20 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry.
Right.
And Derrick Henry's a particularly big guy, but that's how the Ravens want to play. And when they do this option game, you either have to have one guy in space with Lamar, which is trouble, or you send 2 guys out there, and then you got one guy in the hole against Derrick Henry.
That's right.
And your biggest guys are 20 pounds lighter than him. So worst case scenario, unless your D line breaks through, he's falling forward for 4 or 5 yards. That's a tough situation to be in because you don't have anybody that perfectly matches up in either of those things. And that's why the Ravens seem unstoppable offensively, because even when you play it well, you're asking somebody to make an open field tackle against Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry. No, thank you.
Yeah, cherry on top of it is when you saw the game plan that the Ravens had last week with Lamar Jackson. That changes the entirety, because this 4-2-5 that the Bills want to play, and a lot of teams want to try to play this time.
Meaning 5 defensive backs on the field.
No nickel can go up against these tight ends. No, and you have, to his point, Lamar Jackson one-on-one. He's winning that every time. 99 out of 100 times, he's going to go make big yards. And so it gives you pause to play heavy against this look. Lamar Jackson is the difference maker because of what he can do one-on-one.
I know we talk about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, but Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, and Ricard as blockers.
I've been taught these guys.
The receiver talking about. I hate talking about offensive line play or blocking anybody who's connected to the line of scrimmage. But if you watch that first Bills game, those guys bullied the Bills. And not only that, when they fought through them, or by some, act of God, they were faced one-on-one with Derrick Henry, nobody wanted to tackle him. So their work is cut out for them. I will say the Ravens defensively, last time it was Kyle Hamilton who was making a lot of plays in the box. He's now deep. But our Darius Washington, who is a name maybe not a lot of people know, he reminds me of Bob Sanders. He's about 5'9", strong safety, who wants all the smoke that is necessary and available in any game.
Speaking of the idea of trying to tackle Derrick Henry, it has come to my attention that our friend Chris Big Dog Canty, they were talking about this morning on Unsportsmanlike. Just listen.
Number one pick on my board, should be on everybody's board, Mike Greenberg.
He was my number two.
Greeny from Get Up. I mean,
my number two.
who doesn't want to see Mike Greenberg? Just the sheer angst that he would have, knowing that he has to try to tackle Derrick Henry. And you know his objective is going to be just get run over slow, because there's no chance in hell that Mike Greenberg would have of being able to stop that freight train. So Mike Greenberg, my number one pick.
So here's what I will tell you. That if Derrick Henry was running straight at me and I were the last line of defense, I would immediately gather the media around me and announce my retirement.
You wouldn't let that happen to you,
On-field
Greeny.
press conference.
An impromptu press conference in the middle of a left off tackle play is crazy.
Derek, may I call you D? Hang on just 1 second, if you would be so kind. King Henry, your Highness, your Majesty, whatever the case may be. I mean, I couldn't tackle Tutu Atwell. It was the smallest player I could think of in the NFL. If you can think of a smaller one, let me know. I couldn't have knocked down Cameron Dicker the other day when he thought he was just knocking down the pass. And they like, I can't do any of that stuff.
Get out of the way, Greedy. I'm with you. He's gonna score.
Could you? If he's running at you, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna cut his legs out. I mean, we going down. I
We
might
both
lose the
going-
shoulder, but I'm gonna make the tackle ready. I tell you that right now. If we could end the show, we're not gonna pretend
You
like.
pray to God that knee don't catch that dome. If
Oh,
it catch that
man.
dome, he's
Steven Jackson got me one time. Oh, he fell, but I was feeling that for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think we've established I can't tackle Derrick Henry, and on we go. Coming up, Mike Tomlin his way through a postseason presser yesterday. We'll tell you the one reason he should want out of Pittsburgh right now. Plus, if the Rams can shut down Saquon, can Jalen Hurts win this game with his arm? And if not, are the Eagles on upset alert? We're talking about it next. It's Get Up on ESPN. Well, are you convinced, Hawk, coming off of this weekend, a lot of people asking this question, are you convinced Jordan Love is an elite quarterback?
This pains me to say, but I am not convinced, Greeny. I mean, I think Jordan Love has elite quarterback qualities, but he is not quite in that tier yet. He has to learn to protect the football in these deep moments. And yeah, he was down Christian Watson and other wide receivers, but as a body of work of what we've seen, it's hard to put him in the elite category.
Is anyone giving him a break? I kind of tried to cut him some slack on his entire offensive line got hurt and was
All his receivers.
completely dominated. Yes. By the end of the game, he's throwing to people I've never heard of, and I host the NFL show on this network. Was anyone willing to cut him some slack?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this one game in this situation is not definitive of his career. He's very young. I would cut him some slack. I guess the tough thing about this question is like elite.
Is the issue.
that's not elite.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble a little later.
He's the next tier. He's the next tier.
He's paid like an elite quarterback, right? There is an elite tier of money, and he's on.
There's a lot of guys who are paid like elite quarterbacks.
And that is the definition of an elite quarterback. As a former receiver that nobody knew who he was, that is what qualifies you as an elite quarterback. If you do it with the Andrew Hawkins of the world.
I agree.
They played
Simple
it.
as that.
That defense is going to make a lot of guys look bad. Let's keep an eye on that one. Here's the next one. Neek, are you convinced Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Change your answer now. No.
I mean, I feel the same way about Justin Herbert as we did about Jordan Love. Is that we are talking like what makes him not elite is 2 playoff games that are unique situations, right? This last one, he doesn't have the talent to support him, and it's a tiny sample size. Like it's 2 playoff games.
Okay.
Now we're like,
okay, this is what we're doing. Hey, no
He's
one's
been in the league 5 years.
Bro,
They only made the playoffs 2 times. You can't.
he has a bad coaching.
Oh my God.
Situation.
What happened to you today? He did get high this morning. He answered questions wrong. Somebody clear the slate, restart.
I got excited, man. I'm sorry.
Come on.
So maybe he's not elite. But
Okay.
he's elite.
He's like shocked, not shocked.
He's shocked and surprised.
He's E.
No. No.
Here's what I'll say.
He's Eli. I like Eli. You gotta earn that T.
You got to earn a TE.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. He is not now. He's going to be.
There we go.
You know why?
Sure.
Because Jim Harbaugh is his coach. And Jim Harbaugh there was no one I'd rather have if I had a quarterback that needs to be developed into a great player as my head coach than Jim Harbaugh. You give Jim 2 more seasons with Justin Herbert, he will earn the T and the E.
I agree.
Last one. Jeff, are you convinced Russell Wilson deserves another shot in Pittsburgh?
I am convinced. I am convinced of this. And part of the reason why I say I'm convinced is just who's going to be out there and who you're going to go upgrade to and what does this look like. I'm on the fence with Fields and Wilson, which one I would probably keep. Here's the problem with the conversation.
Bad fence.
They have to have better players surrounding them, better running backs, better wide receivers. There's a lot of upgrade that needs to happen in the roster building of the Steelers. So I could say.
So what you just said.
I didn't say Russell Wilson was a lead. I just said he needs another chance.
So what
Pittsburgh.
Jeffrey just said is, yeah, keep this guy because I don't know what else is out there. So that's what you said. Not that he.
No. I said I'm convinced he deserves another chance.
Because you don't know who else they can.
No. I know who's out there. I don't think it's an upgrade to go get them in that same system. Like if you're telling me Sam Darnold walks in with the same players and does anything more than what Russell Wilson did this year, no chance I'm believing it.
Well,
got nada.
All of that brings us to the coach. And everyone was waiting to hear what Mike Tomlin would say yesterday at his media availability about his future. We know that he has a no-trade clause in his contract. So yesterday, we have reported that at least one team has reached out to the Steelers to inquire about the possibility of a trade. Mike Tomlin was asked to respond to that yesterday. Here's what he said.
I have no response to that. I understand the nature of what it is that we do, the attention and criticism that comes with it. As a matter of fact, I embrace it. To be quite honest with you, I enjoy the urgency that comes with what I do and what we do. I don't make excuses for failure. I own it.
Mike, at least one team has reached out to inquire about your availability, understanding that you have a no-trade clause in your contract. What's your message to any team that may reach out to the Steelers to gauge interest or availability in your services?
I have no message. Save your time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's what you tell people when you don't want them bothering you. Just save your time.
So to be clear, insider extraordinaire Kimberly Martin, we should cross off the list of things that might happen this offseason, the possibility of Mike Tomlin getting traded to another team.
Because if Mike Tomlin were to go somewhere else, it's because Mike Tomlin wants to leave. And that did not sound like a man who wants to leave. I think, I think how the fans feel about him is a completely different conversation than how he is viewed internally. And unfortunately, year after year, his players at the end of the season always come to bat for him and say, Tomlin, we love him, he should stay. The problem is because the players don't show up in these games, they lose games, and then we're looking at Mike Tomlin wondering what's going on. Listen, Mike Tomlin doesn't want to go anywhere, but he has to change what the standard is, because what we're seeing is not the standard. I understand the Russell Wilson question and Justin Fields, but they can't do bare minimum at quarterback. And the problem is this team always finishes, like they're almost too good to get a quarterback and not bad, you know what I mean? Like not bad enough to get one of the top ones. And that QB purgatory has killed them.
Which means, Hawk, you said in our meeting this morning, what do you think he should want?
I think if I'm Mike Tomlin, I would want to leave this situation. Not because the Steelers isn't an incredible organization or the Rooneys aren't the best ownership group in the league. Those things are true. Also true, Mike Tomlin is an incredible coach. He is too good of a coach to be put in the position where you typically get one of the top quarterbacks. In the AFC, if you don't have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow, it's going to be tough sledding with the team that you have. Can you win it with a caliber of quarterback, mid-tier like Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold? Yes, but to your point, Jeff, you need a big dog at running back. You need a bona fide number one receiver, and not the collection of players that they have right now. Offensively.
Agreed.
So, I mean, Mike Tomlin's been there long enough to help shape that. So, like, I'm not one advocating for Mike Tomlin to get fired, but we also can't sit here and pretend like he doesn't deserve the criticism, and he said he's going to embrace it. So I'm going to give him something to hug. On fourth down, go for it.
Right.
Like you have to upload or you have to change the software that you're operating with when you look at the team that you have. You cannot go out there and coach this team like you have a dominant defense or like you have an offense that's going to score, especially when you're outmatched. He's coaching these games conservatively when you have to coach a high volatility game. And maybe you get blown out in that game but that's the only way you have a chance to win. You got to go for it on 4th and inches when you're backed up in your own territory. You got to take chances. They ran a couple trick plays. You got to do that. You got to blitz. You got got to be aggressive. You can't approach this game as if you're coaching the old school Steelers because you're not.
Your point is well taken. Think about Dan Quinn this past week with the Commanders. It was all left out on the field. He's going to have to embrace coaching that style of football because, again, he's not good enough anywhere to say we're just going to be dominant, we're going to lay this out and go win games set on this. It's much more roster construction than just pure coaching. However, the Matt Canada hanging on to him for that long, culpable, right? Like there's different things that you've done as an organization to hold on that you don't get better that way. And I think when he talked about change, it's going to be interesting to see what the change really
He always
like.
talks about being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And right now, they're confusing motion with progress.
Yeah.
Tomlin is too good of a coach. He's always going to overachieve with the roster he has. No one came into this season thinking that Russell Wilson and Fields
Justin Fields
are going to
win,
make a double-digit win team going into the playoffs. And had they beat the Ravens, they're rewarded with having to beat Josh Allen. And if they win that game, they're rewarded with having to beat Patrick Mahomes, and they just don't have the firepower at quarterback.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say is this. If you look at the playoff wins, give me C's 27. Let's go. Give it to them. That the Steelers had since 2015. Look at the quarterbacks they've lost to. Yeah, they lost to Baker and the Browns and the Jaguars, but Peyton Manning, Tom Brady,
Take down C-27.
Take it down.
Take it down.
220 and 14.
No, man.
Look, man,
you can't put that
Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. It's not really rocket science when you look at it. You're going to need a quarterback in this division.
But that Baker year, they lost to Baker the last week of the season, and then they
that
lost
was a
in
tough
the wild card.
loss.
Yeah, that was bad.
And you
That
lost
was
to Blake Bortles. Hey, you got to take them down.
You got to take it down.
But let's try and put a ribbon on the cover. What are we saying? Are we saying that Mike Tomlin has overachieved, or are we saying that Mike Tomlin deserves some of the blame for the standard? Because it's not a failure. They haven't failed. You make the playoffs every year. That's not a failure, but for the diminishment of the standard, if you will.
Yes, and you know how we talked earlier about Jerry Jones has to change?
Yeah.
Tomlin and the Steelers have to change because what they've been doing has not worked.
Right.
And to your point, you keep saying, like, we keep kicking this can down the road. Are we going to have this conversation next year and next year? Like that, they have to do something different.
Domonique, you're a very smart man, right?
Oh, thank you.
That wasn't a question.
Yes.
Do you know what? So you know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know what lasts forever, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts forever. 18 years is a very long time, even by Steeler standards. So the reality is sometimes change for change's sake, homeostasis, the more things change, the more they stay, all those things, sometimes change for change's sake is good for everyone.
I'm fine with that. I've come around to accept that it might be possible that the Steelers should move on from Mike Tomlin. I don't agree with it, but it's fine. But what you have to understand, Steelers fans and Steelers ownership is it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin is a coveted coach. Mike Tomlin is going to go somewhere else and hoist the Lombardi, and you are going to go through a couple of coaches before you find the right one. So, like, maybe this is the right thing, and maybe you have to go through that before you go to the other side. But prepare yourself for getting your butt kicked.
But they've gotten it right every time they've done this since the 60s.
Right.
They hired Chuck Noll, then they hired Bill Cowher, then they hired Mike Tomlin. They haven't hired anybody else in the last almost 60 years.
And at no point was it because they were feeling fan pressure. So, like, right now.
Well, they're not going to fire him.
Yeah.
They're not going to fire him. If he's going to go, it's because he's going to decide that he needs a fresh start. All right, we'll come back. We have so much to do. What a morning we got working out. Coming up, the truth hurts. Should Philly be concerned about Jalen? If they need him to win the game Sunday with his arm, can he do it? We'll answer that question next.
That's a clown question, bro.
Next.
What's the question?
Next.
What's the question?
What else do you want to know?
Next question, man. Next question.
Next question.
Your next question.
Next question.
Amazing teams.
Next question.
Stupid ass questions.
That's a BS question, man.
Answer my question! The question, jerk!
We all love the open. And Domonique is here, and this is that moment in the show where I will ask him a series of hard-hitting, provocative questions, and he will answer them whether he's ready to or not. Here we go. Domonique, if Kansas City beats Houston on Saturday, which team should their fans be rooting for on Sunday, Baltimore or Buffalo?
So they beat the Ravens this season, and they lost to the Bills. but they should be rooting for the Bills. I think the Bills, though they won, are closer to a one-dimensional team than the Ravens. The Ravens have multiple ways to beat you, and I think they present more offensive problems and a better defense, especially now that they've made some changes with their linebackers and their safeties. So I think if they're looking for an easier path, it'd be the Bills over the Ravens.
They beat Baltimore by an inch. We all remember the season opener. Isaiah Likely's toe was just out of bounds. I'm looking at everybody's face to see if I think that they agree or not. Jeff, which team would you give what we're really asking is, who has a better chance to knock off Kansas City in their building? The Bills or the Ravens?
The Ravens have a better chance to knock them off, in my opinion. And I love the Bills, but it would be another miracle performance from Josh Allen to do it.
Anybody else think so? I mean, I feel like Josh always plays them very well.
I'm not with the guys on that one. Because what we have been talking about all year is that Lamar has to show up in the playoffs. We haven't seen that. We've been praising Josh Allen for his playoff performances. I think if you're the Bills, if you're Josh Allen, if you get through Lamar Jackson, right, who you already feel like I'm the MVP, not him, I think that team goes into Arrowhead feeling a little differently.
They could lose to either team for sure, but I think the Chiefs' ability to run the football is compromised against the Ravens in a way that I think it's not against.
Quick final one, Hawk.
It's a toss-up. It's 50-50. I would say if I'm the Chiefs, I'd rather play the Ravens.
Okay,
so
fair enough. So we're split down the middle. Next question for Domonique. Which quarterback do you have more trust in to engineer a game-winning drive if he needs to? Jaden Daniels?
Oh, come on.
Jared
Come on.
Jaden Daniels. Give me the rookie.
Yes, dude.
He's wearing his little commander pants.
I'm a Jared Goff supporter.
My man was on Pappy Sacrament last night or something. I don't know what's going down. What happened to you?
I had a little bit of the blood. I had a little sip of the blood. It's all right. But I still think that my opinion is right. Like, I think Jared Goff is incredible, and I don't mean this as disrespect to Jared Goff, but we've seen one season from Jaden Daniels, and he's been the best fourth quarter and comeback quarterback that we've had.
The man is dressed like a commander, first of all, okay? He's dressed like a commander.
Let me see. I want to be able to go home. I want to be able to go home.
Let's make one thing very clear for those who don't know the statistic. The Washington Commanders this year, including the playoff game last week, won six games in which their winning score came either in the final 10 seconds of regulation or
I'll give you another one.
overtime.
Jaden Daniels, 5 go-ahead touchdown passes in the fourth or overtime. Most in NFL history by a rookie. I'm with you.
Yeah, okay. I'm with him.
Yeah, you alone, Jeff.
Wait, get me a shot of Jeff. Give me a nice camera shot on Jeff here, if we can. Yeah, exactly right. That's what he was doing, Jeff.
That was it.
Chicken. Okay, one more. Here's our last one. Let's live in a world where the Rams this Sunday slow down Saquon Barkley. They've shut him down. And this game becomes a question of Jalen Hurts needing to win it with his arm. Does he do it?
Yeah, I think he does. Those receivers are incredible. A tight end pushed a defensive back into next week and scored a touchdown. Like the help is there. The offensive line will protect him, and that defense is great. Even if if they stop the run, I don't see a situation where you're asking Jalen Hurts to score 45 points or 35 points. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think Jalen Hurts, with the talent around him, has the ability to score enough with his arm because the way that they are going to have to stop Saquon Barkley in that offensive line, they're going to have to put 6, 7, 8, 9 men in the box.
Yes.
And
you're going to have to be man-to-man on the outside.
I mean, if the quarterback can't be effective in that situation when you got one-on-one with A.J. Brown, then...
So, Hawk, we have played at different times here on this show a game called Something or Nothing. I've been waiting to get a receiver in here to ask this question. A.J. Brown reading a book on the sideline in the middle of a playoff game. Is that something or is it nothing?
That's something, Greeny. I'm sorry. I wanted to make it no big deal. It is something. Anytime you have something that you've never seen before, it can't be nothing. Like it's
impossible.
It's impossible for those two things to be true. Now, do I believe it's something positive? Yes. Because if that is A.J. Brown keeping his emotions in check, keeping his mentality in check, and he has to use a book to do it, so be it. You're not breaking the rules. You have whatever you need to get to then, get there.
Yeah.
And they are sitting there like nothing. They're
Nothing.
like, okay.
Well, I mean, did you have anything like this? Did your teams ever do anything?
Well, I've heard stories. I mean, people do a bunch of things, as Coach Sirianni pointed out. When we were in Cleveland, we had a breathing coach.
This is unbelievable.
And at some point,
Was it not obvious your team
we
was
had a
breathing?
consultant come in and talk about the importance of your breath throughout the game and on the sideline, and we went through a series of workshops.
Quick question.
What was the record that
What was
season?
your record
What was
that
the record
year?
that season?
It would have been, at that time, I think we went 1-15 that season.
A lot of heavy breathing.
They might have been coming to check if we were breathing. It might have been a doctor. Now that I think about it, it might have just been. Yeah. Those were physicals, actually. I'm sorry.
One of the others. It was just checking.
Mid-season
Breathing,
physicals.
heartbeat, we're not sure.
Like we think Hawk might have died in week 3.
Okay.
Nope.
Let's try and get back, if I can.
I'm sorry you went through that, bro. I'm sorry you went through that. That's tough, man. Don't you wish you'd have known about the
One game, Greedy.
Yeah.
One game. That ain't right.
That's not right.
I would love to have been the reporter who was asking questions about the breathing specialist on
wouldn't
the
have been,
sideline.
Greedy.
All kidding aside, like, is this nothing? I mean, the fact that Jay Brown, I mean, he's reading a book. I mean, they're going to make it nothing because it's nothing and they win. Does it suggest? No, nothing.
Nothing.
It is weird they're winning, though. They're winning. It's a playoff game, and you're just.
Here's the deal. If that's what he's doing to keep himself in a space where he's not ripping at the quarterback or yelling or whatever you got to do to be positive and stay positive,
okay,
you're going to allow them to do it. To his point, and all joking aside, every team has sports psychologists who are interviewing these guys and talking to these guys. Everybody is trying to make sure that we stay kumbaya game time. If that helps them win, roll with it.
There's some guys that are on the roster in part because they can play football and in part because the one dude on the team that nobody can talk to, he can talk to him. Like, football is an unusual game, and we play with some unusual guys. And if the worst thing he got to do is read a book, thank you, because I've been with some guys that had to do a lot worse.
I was going to say.
I can tell you some stories. Let's go to commercial, Green. I got some.
He's flashback right now.
All right, we continue as we roll on here on Get Up. The D in Big D stands for Dream Team. Deion to Dallas, picking up steam. We've got the latest as we roll on.
Hawkins been through a lot. Hawkins been through
I'm sorry for the pain y'all went through.
Come on, actually, Jeff, your agent was involved in this. So that's Timothée Chalamet and Chris Mad Dog Russo. Mad Dog is a crazy fan of Bob Dylan. For those who don't know what's going on here, he was irate that he wasn't involved to the premiere in the United States. So Chalamet posted, "We got to get the dog to London," and he and his daughter, that's Mad Dog.
Kiara, happy birthday, Kiara.
They went to see, and look at that. That's Timothée Chalamet, the world's biggest movie star, and Chris Mad Dog Russo.
I love in that scene he tells him thanks for coming. A big dog here, and Mad Dog didn't know how to respond. He's like, thank you. So he was so excited.
A big dog can smell a big dog.
There we go.
All right.
Look at Mad Dog.
It can
That's
work.
awesome.
You think any chance that Mad Dog started talking to him about the Giants of the 1960s? What do you think the chances are that it was like, the Giants had a guy named Chalamet get a cup of coffee? I can't picture what
1,000% that happened, yes.
I can't imagine exactly what that conversation was, but I would have loved to. All right. With that, we are back on Get Up. We are live from the Seaport. We're brought to you by Chase. The squad is revved up today, and we are looking forward to the best weekend of the NFL year. It's divisional weekend. Let's do a weekend watch. Hawk. Texans, Chiefs, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, ESPN and ABC. What are you watching specifically in that game?
I'm watching for the Chiefs' offensive line and how they handle the Texans' defensive line. If you watch that Chargers game, the D-line put on a clinic. That entire defense put on a clinic. But Will Allen, Hunter on the other side, especially when you think about what they're going to do at left tackle between Tooney and Humphries, that's going to matter and probably decide this football game.
Yeah, the entire Texans defense was spectacular. Jeff, what are you watching? Commanders, Lions.
Well, I mean, the MVP of the league, according to me, with Jaden Daniels and how he's going to attack this Detroit depleted defense.
I mean, if he didn't get hurt, he would have been the MVP of the league and with injury mid-season.
I will say I am super excited to watch Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn, who is not afraid to know that's the best part of his team, to push the envelope. It's going to be exciting. good coaching. It'll be
The truth is, Daniels won't be in the MVP conversation, but it's hard to picture being more valuable than he was this year. Neek, Rams, Eagles, what are you watching?
Oh, yeah, it's no surprise here. Line play and running game.
Let's go!
That is it. That is going to decide this game. Can this Rams D-line compete with the offensive line of the Eagles and stop this rushing attack? As you guys saw last time they matched up, the answer was no. Saquon had more than 200 yards. Saquon, Himbo just sent me. He had 4 untouched rushes for 160 yards. That means nobody touched him.
Yeah,
so somebody got to do something about that this week.
And then finally, Kmart will give you Ravens, Bills, Sunday night. What are you watching?
I mean, this is the ultimate rematch, and both of these squads look different. At the time, the Ravens had the worst pass defense in the NFL. Their defense is much improved. But the bigger issue, the bigger story here to me is that the Bills' injuries in the last game. No Matt Milano, no Taron Johnson, no Terrell Bernard, and also Amari Cooper wasn't on the roster. So when you look at these teams, don't think that the Bills are just going to get smacked out the building.
You know my favorite part of this show?
What's that?
Is that we're talking about the 2 leading candidates for MVP, and she didn't mention either one. It was about real ball.
That's what this show
Real
is.
ball, dog. That's what I'm talking about.
Ball knowers talking about O-line play.
Me and Mad Dog both peaked, dog. He peaked with you. I peaked with y'all. We got O-line talk. I mean, God, I'm out.
Golly.
Y'all be good. Bye. I'm walking off.
You done your
It's
work.
been good. Himbo, we finished, dog. We done it. Hey, I'm going to take my shoes off and leave them right there because I'm retired. I'm out.
You can go
Already
about
plummeted
real ball.
by talking about offensive line play.
That's all right.
I need to what's the word? Cleanse, purify our group now by talking about Jerry Jones and Okay.
We're back
To the NFL coaching carousel.
We're back.
No more of this.
Nice try, Jeff.
No more of this real ball.
Real ball.
Mike McCarthy is going to interview with the Bears as early as today. Where does that leave the Cowboys? I'm glad you asked. They have a coaching search that includes Colorado's Deion Sanders. Monday, Sanders told Shefty that he loves Boulder, but he called the idea of coaching the Cowboys intriguing, and that led his friend, Stephen A. Smith, to say this.
I don't believe Deion's sentiments about Colorado one bit. I've never believed that Deion belongs in Boulder, Colorado. I know he appreciates what they've done for him, just like he appreciated HBCU and Jackson State hiring him. But in the end, this is the damn NFL. I don't believe that 1 second. I believe if Jerry Jones offers Deion Sanders this job, Deion Sanders gonna take it.
It's the glasses adjustment for me.
It's the go take it. Take it.
Here's... I agree. I agree with him.
Yeah.
I think there are so many reasons why this fit makes sense. I know everyone thinks that I only want it for my own selfish interest.
For sure.
And I'm not going to lie, there is obviously some of that, but I also think it is a dream team. Yeah. I think, look, put yourself in Jerry Jones' position. You're an 82-year-old billionaire. What is it you like more than anything else in the world is attention. Mm-hmm. And I get that you guys all think, oh, well, Deion would take his attention from him. Deion will only multiply the attention that the organization gets in the first place. You want us talking about get up about every single morning? You want us talking about your team every single day? Yeah. That's what we'll do. Deion Sanders makes all the sense in the world. This is the dream team. I'm calling them Jerry On. That's the couple's name. And it's going to happen, and Andrew Hawkins is going to tell you why.
A big dog in a room can smell another big dog in a room. There's going to be a mutual respect there. What I look for when I look at a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys is, can they handle the spotlight? Can they handle the attention? Can they continue to coach with all the extra scrutiny that comes with being with the Dallas Cowboys and having that star on the helmet of your players? Those are all check yeses for Deion Sanders. The other part to your point is, can he coexist with somebody who also demands just as much, if not more, attention? And I would say yes. The thing about Jerry Jones is, anybody who's played there, they say he is incredibly loyal. Yes. So once you're a Cowboy for life. Mm-hmm. And that's how Michael Irvin, that's how Deion Sanders, that's how Troy Aikman, anybody who's been in that building thinks. So when Jerry Jones, where typically if it's Bill Belichick, I would question that, two heads who can exist. But he almost helped create what Deion Sanders is today. I remember being a kid and seeing those commercials when it was like, do you want to play basketball or football, Deion? Or football or baseball, Deion? Both. And then Jerry Jones comes in the commercial and he says, what is it going to be? 15, 20 million? Deion says both. They thrive in that spotlight together.
So I agree with everything Hawk said. It makes too much sense which means it's not going to happen.
Come on.
Like that, because I've watched Jerry Jones all season, and everything we're saying, we are describing why it could work if Jerry Jones would just make room for it. And that's the one thing he hasn't done. He hasn't said, yes, I have messed up, but I'm going to bring in people who I can say, you know what, let me listen to him. And when you look at the track record of coaches, like to me, it wouldn't surprise me if it is a Kellen Moore or if it ends up being like a Jason Witten. Like you talk about loyalty, like the guys that have ties to the organization. And unfortunately, the Deion of it all will sort of overshadow whoever the hire is if it's not him.
It's done. It's done. Whoever's getting the job is going to be like, if it ain't Deion, they're limping in that press conference, right? Just limping in, like, just get it over with, say a few words and move on, because the comparison already has gotten a mountain of attention.
You're selling me, Greeny. Like,
Come on, Nick.
I still think it's probably
unlikely.
In an hour.
Because I'm
You're
just
sobering up from last night.
Yes, sir.
We're starting to get some good answers out.
I think that the more I think about it, the more I hear us talking about it, and we know that Jerry Jones is sensitive to these things. You're making a case for why it makes sense. I think that it doesn't make sense to him before this, but it makes sense to have all this conversation about it. And then it's happening. And to your point, like they're not in the playoffs. And we're talking about him a lot. And you're right. If he hires Deion Sanders, then there's no week, there's no hour, there's no 30-minute segment on any show about sports in America where we're not going to say something about the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that does matter to Jerry Jones.
And here's the other thing.
I think Deion would take the job, but what stopped me before is thinking Jerry wouldn't offer it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Deion saying, when somebody comes to you, approaches you, they're interested, and you are not interested in them. It is a quick slam the door, like, no, thank you. Same way Mike Tomlin was like, save your time, I'm not worried. The fact that Deion was like, it's intriguing. Like that to me, it's like the door is open just enough. Where if I'm Jerry Jones, like, get in there, Jerry. Get in there and close this deal.
And Jerry reached out to him. I mean, we've reported he has reached out to him.
But here's the thing. A few days ago, the Cowboys didn't think that they would be searching for a head coach. So now they're in this position. I think, by next week, hopefully there will be some movement as far as who are they bringing in? What is happening? I think it's clear that Deion should be the guy at this point, but I don't trust Jerry.
Every other team that has a coaching vacancy, like the New York Jets, the team that I follow, they've interviewed 400 people. I mean, it's incredible how many interviews are going in and out, and all of these teams. The Cowboys have not done that. Jerry has something up his sleeve. I don't know what it is, but he is the master showman. He is the most performative.
He's going to wait till night one of the draft and get a head coach.
He's going to do something that makes people talk. And look, maybe he's waiting for Kellen Moore's team to get eliminated or something. Of course, all that is possible. All I'll say is, if Stephen A. Smith is going to lower his glasses and say, if they offer Deion that job, he'll take it, that carries some weight with me.
No doubt.
And I think Jerry should do it. So we'll wait and see. We'll leave it there for the moment. That thing there are a few more chapters to be written in that book, and we'll see if A.J. Brown reads it. In the meantime, as we continue, Mike Tomlin, wait till you hear all the things he had to say about the trade talk surrounding him. Do the Steelers need a change at the top? Are they stuck where they are? We'll answer those questions, plus the magic of Mahomes. The numbers don't lie. We're going to show you a statistic that is going to boggle your mind about Patrick Mahomes and what it means for Saturday. Don't miss it. Next. Aren't be shocked. Here we go. Kimberley, would you be shocked if Mike Vrabel gets the Patriots to the playoffs in his first year?
Greeny, absolutely not. I would not be shocked. You know why? Because I just watched Dan Quinn do it, and I watched D'Amico Ryans do it last year. Listen, when you take over as a head coach, there's all sorts of buy-in. You also have a very weak schedule. Vrabel, in this situation, I think it's perfect for him. I think the Patriots will actually be a lot better than people think, and they already have the QB question answered.
And they have a ton of cap space and the fourth pick in the draft to add a bunch of talent. Next, would Kmart be shocked if the Vikings decide to move on from Sam Darnold?
Yeah, not shocked. I feel like this question was answered over the weekend, unfortunately. Listen, Sam Darnold had played himself into a massive contract, and that game, unfortunately, just reinforced some of the stigma surrounding him and the ghosts and all that. I would not be shocked if they moved on. I'm curious where he might end up this offseason.
And how much money someone will pay him to bring him in. Finally, let's talk about the Steelers. Would Kmart be shocked if the Steelers brought back both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields?
I would be shocked, Greeny, because that means we're just going to run it back exactly the same. I didn't like the ending of that movie, I'll be honest. So between one of these quarterbacks, I would think Justin would be back because he's younger. But I would be shocked just because the offense really took a dive as the season went on.
Well, speaking of running it back, I mean, all the questions are about Mike Tomlin. We know that he has a no-trade clause in his contract. We know that at least one team has reached out to the Steelers to inquire about trading for him. Our Brooke Pryor asked Tomlin about it yesterday at his press conference.
Mike, at least one team has reached out to inquire about your availability. Understanding that you have a no trade clause in your contract, what's your message to any team that may reach out to the Steelers to gauge interest or availability in your services?
I have no message. Save your time.
All right, so that's what do you make of that?
I'm practicing. That Mike Tomlin be listening hard. He listens harder than I was just practicing my Mike Tomlin listening face. I think Hawk got it better than me though. Yeah, that's it right there. That's the. He's in
it's a little eye.
Yeah, there it is. You be listening hard.
He is giving serious credence to your question. Right? I understand.
Or thinking your question is like ridiculous. That's really what it is. He hates all the questions.
I've always said no one in the world says words better than Mike Tomlin. I love listening to him say words. Here's what I will say. I believe that multiple things can be true at the same time. I believe that Mike Tomlin can be an outstanding football coach, and I think he is. I believe the Steelers can be the most loyal organization maybe in all of American sports, and that can be up to their benefit, which I think it has been. I also think that sometimes things just run their course, and it is time for a change. Chuck Daly once famously said when he was coaching the Detroit Pistons and they were winning championships, he said after 10 years, that was what he said, the players have heard everything you have to say. They've just heard your message. And I know the players turn over and all that sort of thing. But sometimes, while people will criticize this idea, change for change's sake can be of benefit. And I'm not sure it wouldn't be best for both sides, because you just said, what, are they just going to run it back again? Well, that's what they've been doing.
So here's the thing. I believe firmly that something has to change in Pittsburgh. I don't necessarily think that thing has to be Mike Tomlin. It's either the way they go about the quarterback situation, the aggressiveness in free agency, we talked about loyalty and how Tomlin is loyal to coaches and players to his detriment. Guys, if there are guys who are starting that do not deserve to be starting, put them on the bench. Get other people in there. Like, they have to do something. And to your point about change for change's sake, I think getting Mike Tomlin out of there only helps Mike Tomlin, because he's going to go somewhere and he's going to flourish.
I think it is
going to see the sun
beneficial.
And be like, you know what? Life is actually better. I don't think Steelers fans who are clamoring for him to be out of here what they wish for.
Yeah, I'm fine with it as long as you know what you're entering. So, like, I'm not a fan of, like, the snow globe leadership where it's like, oh, it ain't working. Shake it up. Shake it up. Right. Maybe it'll land better. But if you are moving on from Mike Tomlin, you need to be prepared as an organization and as a fan base for some bad times.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be bad, and it's most likely you're going to get the next couple hires wrong. Yeah. And so as long as you understand that, and Mike Tomlin is going to go somewhere else and have success, the chances of you nailing the next hire are unlikely. So just prepare yourself.
Except that they always do. I mean, the Steelers always get that right. They hired Chuck Noll in 1969. Since then, they've hired Bill Cowher. They got that one right. They hired Mike Tomlin. They got that one right. There's reason to believe they will identify the next young coach who can be their leader for the next 15 years, and they will support him the way they have Tomlin through good times and bad, and he's given them a hell of a lot more good than bad. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you that things are terrible. I'm sitting here telling you that 18 years is it's 2 lifetimes in big time sports
I appreciate
today.
what you're saying, but the Cowher to Tomlin move was Cowher was leaving with a good team.
Right.
Whoever's coming in is going to have roster reconstruction.
They won 10 games, Jeff. I mean, they're not a terrible team. Most teams looking for a new coach.
They
won
lost
3 games.
in a row. The beginning of the season was a different schedule than what they faced at the end of the season. The end of the season were more playoff caliber teams. So I appreciate what you're saying. But You don't have a quarterback answer. You have limited receiver production. You have running backs that aren't explosive. Whichever new leader comes in, they got to have roster reconstruction. If you're going to do that, you might as well do it with Tomlin, who has outperformed expectations 12 of his 18 seasons.
You're leaving a good team, but the reason why you want to move on is because good hasn't been good enough. So you're not bringing someone in to be good. You're bringing someone in to take you to the next level. And that's the point that I'm making.
Agreed.
The expectation. And I get it. I don't think it's as absurd as I once did to move on from Mike Tomlin. So fine, move on from him. But understand that you're going this way before you go back this way.
I think Mike Tomlin should want to move to another situation for that exact reason you talked about, because they're kind of in this QB purgatory, kind of like where Andy Reid was post Donovan McNabb with the Eagles, where you're going through Kolb, Vic, Foles, and you don't have a quarterback that can contend in the division that you're in. Mm-hmm. The next coach isn't going to be a better coach than Tomlin.
Right.
And you said they gave him more good than bad. He never gave him bad. They never had a losing season. Is the point. And if you can produce those kind of seasons with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett, then you know he's a great coach. He needs to get to another situation.
That call the Steelers got, I really hope it was like Johnson, Woody. What's that? Okay, yes, we'll make the deal. I'm all in on that. Right now, it's time to see who received it this week.
Let's go! Receive it!
All right, Hawk will give us the best catches of the weekend in a segment we call
Receive It!
Let's go. Let's start it off with Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders. You talk about contested catches. This guy is the best contested catch artist in the league. Ooh. That's both by stats and the eyeball test. You're going into between two guys, all hands over the shoulder. There's really not a point anywhere in Terry McLaurin's radius where it's not catchable. Wow. This is routine for him.
It's like perfect coverage, right?
Can I tell you, yesterday I talked to Zach Ertz on the phone, and he said the same thing, and he's the guy who played with A.J. Green on the back end. He said Terry McLaurin catches everything.
He's not the biggest guy. You don't consider the smaller guys to be the contested catch guys. You do. That guy's the best. Of course I do, baby. Next up, we got Tyler Higbee. Now, these are kind of like two-part awards for the quarterback and the receiver, because the throw is ridiculous. This is like the beginning of the Minnesota Vikings game, and it was at this point where I knew the Vikings are in trouble.
Let them know.
Matt Stafford got a lot of good sleep last night. He wasn't up watching and doom scrolling. And when you have catches like this early on, it's hard to contend. Shout out to Tyler Higbee. Last but not least, John Johnson. Let's go, Terps. This is the throw. This is the catch. Shout out to the Terps. Fourth down, you have a running back in the back of the end zone. The ball is inside, low. You're sliding on fourth down, feet up so they don't go out of bounds. This is one of the best catches that I've seen in the playoffs in the last recent years, let alone just this season.
That's nasty. On fourth down, to make that play, to throw that pass, and to have the trust in a guy.
But yet these are the same guys that were trying to tell me earlier that, the Bills got to watch out for the Ravens.
One more time.
This ain't about you. This is about him right now. I have an honest answer, or an honest question. Are his feet up? Is that luck, or does he really know that's where the goal line is, and I have to lift my feet while I make this catch?
It's not natural to hold your feet that way.
I'm saying
that is an awareness to know I'm close. I don't know how close I am.
Like if he was that aware of the side of the back of the end zone that he actually lifted his feet, that is genuinely one of the greatest plays that you will ever see.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
I got to be honest. The throw is better than the catch, but the catch is incredible as well. Both can be equally incredible.
Well, we'll see if we're going to see any of those throws this weekend, because it's a quarterback showdown unlike any other. We're going to see, Josh, is he going to have to play the game of his life?
I got excited.
Will he have to play the game of his life to beat Lamar and the Ravens? We'll talk about it. Plus, Saquon torched the Rams in November. We'll show you why Sunday could be a much different story. Are the Eagles on upset alert? We'll answer that question next.
The playoffs. This is where the know-it-all thrives. What he lacks in time spent on Earth, he makes up for in time spent watching football.
These days, offense wins championships.
Actually, of the last 23 Super Bowl winners, 16 have had top 10 defenses.
Yeah, but you definitely need a first-round QB.
Ever heard the name Kurt Warner? The punky QB known as McMahon. How about 17th round Super Bowl champion Bart Starr?
There's no number that can measure his football IQ. With NFL Plus Premium, you too can be a football know-it-all.
Struggling with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis? Talk to your doctor about #1 prescribed Entyvio, offering 2 maintenance options, including the Entyvio pen. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a rare, potentially fatal brain infection, cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, sores, or are prone to infections. Liver problems can occur. Entyvio, relief, remission for real.
Entyvio, Entyvio, Entyvio. Only Daisy Cottage cheese will do. Only Daisy Cottage cheese will do. Satisfying and fresh, so creamy and delish. Only Daisy Cottage cheese will do.
Daisy is creamy, pure natural cottage cheese. Only Daisy Cottage cheese will do.
So tasty, so pure. Can I have a little more? Only Daisy Cottage cheese.
You guys are messing around, acting like you're living the high life, but you have no money left over.
What do you mean?
$1,200 a month car payment? You can afford this?
It's a little tight.
$284 in subscriptions!
I thought we only had like 2 or 3.
You guys need to cut down on your expenses.
How?
Just give Rocket Money. It shows all of your expenses in one place and helps you monitor your money, so you're not spending hundreds of dollars a year on things you don't need. Take control of your money. Download Rocket Money today.
You never want to lose your edge. And the Lexus RX completely understands that.
So sick.
Are you okay?
I'm incredible. So many in-network dogs.
D's notes.
I was waiting to snip on. The pause was beautiful.
Here we go for D's.
Necessary.
I promised you a stat on Patrick Mahomes you weren't going to believe.
Oh, God.
Here we go. Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round in his career is 6-0. He has thrown 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. It is the most wins without a loss by any quarterback in any playoff round in NFL history. So the question is, what can the Texans do? Jeffrey, I'll start with you. What can the Texans do to put a stop to this streak?
Ooh. Get the left tackle position, exploit it, right? Danielle Hunter, you have Will Anderson Jr. on the other side, bring pressure, hit Mahomes a lot, get him moving off the spot, and stop the run on the way to doing that. That's the only shot you have.
I feel like there was a perception, and I'm asking you if it was accurate, that over the last couple of weeks of the season, the Chiefs fixed that problem, moving Thuney out there, whatever it was.
Yeah, and Humphrey got healthy again, but yeah.
Do you believe they have fixed what was clearly their biggest vulnerability, which was their offensive line?
Yeah, and they also changed the way they played. And that's when you have a quarterback, like they got rid of the ball more quickly. They took the pressure off of him, and also getting Hollywood Brown back, I think, allowed the receivers to play the roles that they're supposed to.
That's right.
You could see that Worthy is now doing the gadget plays where his speed is impactful, and Hollywood can get open in man coverage, and Kelsey's working the middle. Like this team, all the things that I've been lamenting all season long, they were like, yeah, you know what, we're going to hit the switch.
Well, Hawk, I know that the Chargers are not the Chiefs, and no one is confusing them. But the Houston defensive performance this past weekend took me aback, and I think it did a lot of people.
It was special. Al-Shaair being back makes that defense completely different. Obviously, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter on the side, their D tackles played incredible. Me and Neek were talking about this in the pre-show. The defensive backs locked down. And Ladd McConkey is like one of the best route runners in the league, and the job that Miles Bryant, Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley Jr. did to them is why it was so tough for Justin Herbert to get going. Guys weren't getting open. So it was truly a complete unit performance. That being said, those pass catchers are not DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy, and have Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a real test.
And Kelsey,
Can I just say,
of course,
when you look at the Texans' defense, the Tua, Herbert, Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson, and Jared Goff all had some of their worst games of the season against this defense. So I'm not saying that the Chiefs will not win or anything like that, but please let's not sleep on that defensive front.
For sure.
All right, so that was
first of all, DeMeco Ryans is an absolute genius when it comes to taking away your fastball and forcing you to beat him some other way.
Yep.
Okay, so that was my first of the D's notes. Here's my second. The second note focuses on Rams-Eagles. And the question is, will the Rams be able to stop Saquon Barkley? Well, in Sean McVay's career, he has coached 12 playoff games and has never allowed a 100-yard rushing performance by the opposition. That is the most games by any coach without allowing a 100-yard rusher in postseason history. Can he do that to Saquon and company on Sunday? Jeff?
No. No. I wish McVay could get out there and play against that offensive line, because that's the difference maker. The difference maker is this is a really good offensive line, and you couple that with one of the best backs in NFL history. You can create. You don't face this type of running attack.
I get it. But over the 12 games, they must have played good offensive lines and good running backs.
Yeah, not as good as this one, but I think that we have to understand that it's a holistic job, and if their offense plays really well and gets them one-dimensional, that's how you stop them from
exactly
100 yards. If the Eagles get the lead and play the way they want to play, it's going to be really tough to stop them from getting 3 to 5 yards a carry, which by the end of the game, that'll add up to.
Can I say this too? Because I always talk about offensive line. And people, everybody's making fun of A.J. Brown, the book. He is a full participant blocker. Devontae, full participant. Goddard, like they all buy. It's not just the offensive line. They all buy in to do their role. That's not every team either, Greeny. And when you talk about why can't because not everybody is that selfless. They play selfless football offensively and get after people.
So I feel like what they're saying is the Rams' chance of winning this game is a shootout. That if this game stays, that the Eagles want to play the grimy, gritty, dominate with our defense and run it with Saquon. The way the Rams have a chance to win this game is if Stafford goes nuts against what is an outstanding defense, and suddenly you're sort of in a who gets the ball last kind of game.
And he has that opportunity to. It's all a matter of which Stafford shows up. If the Stafford we saw last week shows up, they have a chance. Because he is, I'm telling you, this dude is.
It's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
Really good.
They are, and especially, but when Stafford gets going, and you've seen it in moments, and they dealt with injuries all year. Like, this is the most put together this team has been.
For sure.
And that performance last week was a full-on performance, both defensively and offensively, and it started with Matt Stafford.
Yeah. Martin, what do you think?
So here's the thing. Matt Stafford to me is the X factor. I understand with Saquon. I think he's going to go off, but I think the Rams only stand a chance if, to Hawk's point, is if Stafford kind of goes nuclear with his arm, that bazooka. So.
And the Kobe Dean injury is going to be big. And the other thing is, can they put pressure on? To make Stafford mortal, you put pressure on him. If that front four can rush without having to bring extra bodies, it matters for what they can do down the field.
Packers played well defensively against the Eagles.
They did. They played
very
well. With a performance like that from the Rams, they have a chance to win.
Absolutely.
Okay, the last of our D's notes.
Hold on. I feel like, I know the rule of 3, but if we're going to do D's notes, I feel like there should only be 2 notes. Are we consistent with the bit or no?
Now you're sharp.
I'm back, baby.
Now you're back.
That water in the break did it. Good job.
My man's back.
Poor Greeny.
I emphasize notes. Here we go. The showdown, Josh and Lamar. We all assume they're going to finish 1-2 in the MVP race in either order.
Oh, yeah.
If that is the case, it'll be the first time ever that we have 2 quarterbacks who finished top 2 in the MVP voting meeting this early in the playoffs.
Oh my
we
God.
actually saw it in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Patrick Mahomes finished first and Jalen Hurts finished second in the MVP voting. We've never seen it this early in the playoffs.
Inject this game into my veins
For real.
Now, this is like,
Blockbuster.
we've been waiting all. I'm like speechless. Like, this is for all the talk, for all the hyperbole, for all the fan bases, for all the MVP talk. I don't want to hear it, because now we get to see it. Now we literally get to see it.
And I want Kmart, you to give everyone the statistic, because I feel like there is a conventional wisdom developing that the Ravens are just definitively better, and that they should beat them.
Which I don't know why. I don't know why people are saying that, because when you look at the Bills, they are 9-0 at home this season. And they have been favored in 42 consecutive home games up until this weekend. That is the longest. That is the longest in franchise history. I'm actually shocked that the Ravens are favored in this one. I understand they have a wonderful roster, but I am shocked that the Ravens are actually going into this game favored.
It opened with with
Bills.
Buffalo being
Yes.
favorites. So I think that like the people putting the money in the Ravens is what skewed it. But yeah, no, this is a very equal game. I do not believe the Ravens are like some runaway team that should win this.
I'm not saying they're a runaway team. I will say this: Lamar, the margin for error is much greater for the Ravens than it is the Bills. Like Josh Allen has to play lights out. The reason I think Josh Allen probably wins the MVP, he's done more with less. Like you look at the way the Ravens are built offensively. You would say they're more talented if you just looked at them across the board, right? So I think that's the issue with this. I think there'll be more pressure on Lamar because, again, expectations for Lamar winning the Super Bowl. This one playoff win ain't enough, right? They have to go through and make this happen. There'll be more pressure on Lamar. But if Buffalo wins this game, everybody will say Buffalo won with an inferior team to what the Ravens.
I don't know, man. I think the Bills.
You think the Ravens defense is better than the Bills?
This is so frustrating.
Do you think the Ravens defense from top to bottom is better than the Bills?
Yes.
Okay, do you think their offense
At a point this season, I would say no, because it was like one of the worst defenses in the league. So I feel like the just talking it blanketed like this roster is way better.
I didn't say way better.
I know. I'm just saying this discounts like the job that this team has done. Yes, Lamar affects what Derrick Henry and the receivers do. These are players that were available to everybody.
I agree.
So this is what is so frustrating about this conversation, because to act like Josh Allen is fighting with one hand behind his back when he has a 1,000-yard rusher, it negates the impact that James Cook is having. He's got like 16 touchdowns this season. And we're going into this game, we don't know if Lamar's even going to have his number one wide receiver.
Sure.
When you have a Bills team that didn't have Amari Cooper the first time, now they have Amari Cooper, and it's healthy. Like this is, it just is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
This is just mind-blowing to me that we're even thinking that one team should be favored heavily over the other.
I think sometimes we get caught in this trap where we think linearly and like one team is better than the other. The reason why I would favor the Ravens is because I think they match up with the Bills better. There are different games where I would say that different teams where I think the Bills match up better. It comes down to the fact that the Bills like to play in nickel and their linebackers are smaller. And the Ravens like to play in 22 personnel more than anyone in the league, and they like to bash them. And that's like, I think the Bills could win, but they're gonna have to win on the strength of them creating explosive plays early in the game to get the Ravens out of this running.
And the reason I believe the Ravens are going to win is incredibly simple. It's because they have Derrick Henry and no one else does. And I don't think there's anything more valuable you can have in a January game where you know it's going to be cold and all the rest of that, and a physical battle, the biggest, most physical running back the league has seen in at least a generation.
22 degrees, you want to tackle him in that?
Nah.
Feels like 5.
It could be 110. I don't want to tackle.
We'll take it as we continue. Does Jerry Jones make the Cowboys' head coaching job less appealing? Wait till you hear what Shannon Sharp had to say about that. You will, and we'll see if Neek and Jeff can answer this one from Sneaky Hembo. Here we go. Mike Tomlin has lost 11 playoff games as the coach of the Steelers since he got there in 2007. That is tied with whom for the most playoff losses in that span? That's the question. The answer is next. Get up on ESPN.
How many did he win?
8. 8 and 11.
Everyone gather around. I'm going to do a green list today as the offseason begins of the 5 things that we absolutely need to see happen during this offseason. At number 5, Kmart said earlier she believes the Patriots will make the playoffs in Mike Vrabel's first year. I agree. And one of the best ways they can start spending all of that money they have is to take T. Higgins away from the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are going to have to pay Jamar Chase. There's no way they're going to be able to pay both of those guys. What does Drake May need? He needs a great receiver. What is T. Higgins? He is a great receiver. The Patriots have all the money in the world to do it. I want to see T. Higgins in New England. Number 4. The Giants have to find a way to get Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I believe, is the quarterback with the most skills available in this year's draft. If you've kept Brian Daboll, you've done so for a reason, because he has a history of developing quarterbacks. See Allen, Josh. This is the guy that you need to do it with. If you're John Mara, find a way, probably have to move up to do it, get Cam Ward. Number 3, this is going to make some people mad at me. The Bears have to try as hard as they can to talk Marcus Freeman into becoming their new head coach. You're looking for the next Mike Tomlin, the next Bill Cowher, the next 30-something-year-old coach who is going to be a figure in the league for the next 20 years. Marcus Freeman has it. The Bears need someone who is it. They'll find an offensive coordinator to work with the quarterback. You need a leader, you need a visionary, and he's local. I love Marcus Freeman to the Bears. Number 2, Tom Brady needs to call Bill Belichick and talk him out of this nonsense with college. I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeff Saturday is probably going to beat me up. The idea of Bill Belichick as a college head coach never made sense. It doesn't make sense. It will never make sense. He was meant to be an NFL coach. Tom Brady knows better than anybody that guy is the best coach that ever lived. I believe he needs to talk him into coming back. And then finally, this should surprise no one. The Cowboys and Deion Sanders, Jerry and Deion, Jerry on. It's a dream team. They need to make this happen. The Cowboys need to hire Deion Sanders. And as Stephen A. Smith said, if they offer him that job, I believe he takes it. So that, I believe he takes it. So let's bring in my group here.
Man, that was a lot, Greeny. That was a lot.
Keep Jeff away from me. I'm a little bit afraid to let Jeff get
You've
too
upset
close.
a lot of us with that list.
To be clear, how did I upset you with that
The
list?
T. Higgins of it all. No. Cincinnati, if they cannot figure out how to keep those 3 guys together.
They need to spend some money on their defense, Kmart. I mean, their defense was historically
Here's the
bad.
problem.
They already
Cincinnati
have to pay Jamar
never
Chase.
wants to spend money. They are known for historically being cheap. They, like the Steelers, like the Cowboys, have to change their ways. I'm sorry.
What else?
No, there's a difference between being cheap and being broke. Like I don't think they're cheap. I think they don't got the money to go aggressively after those things. But I mean I agree with you on the Belichick thing. So maybe I should come on.
But what in the? Y'all better take Belichick's name out your mouth.
Who's paying the $1 million buyout? Who's paying that?
Right now it's Greeny.
Right?
Yesterday
Like,
it was
who's
Stephen
gonna
A.
pay that?
Everybody's trying to take our coach. We're in recruiting right now. Y'all back up off our recruiting. We got pictures being taken. We got high schools being visited. Y'all all should be on that side. Absolutely. The only one I liked the Freeman. 100% agree. That would be a home run of home runs in Chicago. And I'm 100% with you. Go find an offensive coordinator. Go develop and go find a Josh McCown. Bring him in. Go sit and develop this kind of kid. 100% agree.
I like the
bringing
Josh
that kind of
McCown
guy.
of
But Bill Belichick is a Tar Heel. Don't any of you forget that. You're Tar Heel. College is the new NFL.
He's a Tar Heel.
College is the new NFL.
Belichick's about to enter the portal. And when he does, maybe UNC can make a run at Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, they have more NIL in the NFL. All right, having said all of that, let's get back to my number 1, and that is Deion Sanders going to the Cowboys. There's a lot of people who believe that Jerry Jones is an impediment to that, and one of those people is Shannon Sharp yesterday on First Take.
What did Coach Prime have at Jackson State? Control. What did he have at Colorado? Control. What is he not going to have at Dallas? Control. Think about it. There's only 32 of these jobs, and you would think everybody is lining up to get it. Jerry ain't letting you do that. That's not going to happen, and therein lies the problem.
So, look, I mean, obviously, what Shannon is saying is something, and Jeff is not looking at it. But let's talk about this for a minute. The idea that the presence of Jerry Jones would be an impediment to Deion Sanders. Look, to some degree, all NFL coaches, general managers, and others are beholden to the owner. They make decisions all the time, whether we see them or not, whether they're as visible as Jerry or not. I'm obviously not pretending that he doesn't have more control over what goes on than in every other situation. I get that part of it. But there's another side to it, too. If you're the one who goes to Dallas and wins, look what it has done for people's careers. Look at Roger Staubach, look at Troy Aikman, look at Tony Romo. Look what being a star on the Cowboys does for you. Deion Sanders goes from being one of the most famous people in football history to being an icon, a legend, a hero with statues for the rest of his life. I think that's appealing to someone like Deion Sanders. Hawk.
I think it is the only move that makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm Deion Sanders, my boys ain't at Colorado no more. There's nothing tying me there. I coach my son's football team, West Pembroke Pine Optimist Youth Football. When he's gone, I ain't going to be still coaching there, okay? And if an opportunity like the Dallas Cowboys comes along, you got to take it. I think he can coexist with Jerry, as opposed to when if Belichick was there, it would be Belichick pulling the spotlight. I think Deion is intriguing because I genuinely think him and Jerry could work together.
Because the spotlight magnifies the point you were saying. He's not taking anything away from Jerry. It's almost like we're turning the lights up. We're turning the lights up.
I love y'all. Y'all sitting this all wrong. This ain't got nothing to do with Deion. Of course, Deion would take the job. The job is not going to be offered because of those reasons. And I'm just going to let you know, if you're Deion Sanders, what does success look like in Dallas? You just had a coach for 5 years, went 12-5, 3 of them, wins 1 playoff game. and you're getting fired. You better go win. And by the way, don't forget you got Detroit, you got Philly, you got the Commanders, you got some really good teams in that world that you got to go beat. It ain't you can out recruit them. You got to go coach them and play them.
Didn't Jerry make the call?
Jerry's got to have an $8 million buyout. And he's got to go pay him, which we know he doesn't want to do. Then he's got to reconstruct the roster.
So why did he call him? Why did he call him?
Because we're talking about him?
Yeah, because we're on air.
It might work. It could potentially work, but
I think Deion would work.
Every job has issues that make it difficult. Most of the time, you don't have a quarterback, your defense is broken. This is a job where you have a quarterback, you got a great receiver, and you got Micah Parsons. So it's attractive.
We'll see what winds up happening. I'm sure they'll be talking about it on First Take. By the way, tonight we have our NBA doubleheader. You got Jalen Brunson and the Knicks taking on the Sixers.